Channel 2S is brought to you by New Type HQ. Get your kits and supplies at the link in the description below. Bandai just dropped the bombshell announcement of a much wanted Premium Bandai Master Grade, and well, I've got some thoughts on it. The Master Grade Astraea Type F is a kit that people have wanted for a very long time. The Master Grade Exia mold's been around since the late 2000s, and ever since it first came out, people were fully expecting to see this kit. I mean, it is pretty much the go-to variant of Exia that you see in every single grade. I mean, we basically have it as everything except a perfect grade at this point. However, Bandai has only just now decided to finally grace us with its presence. And personally, I suspect that a lot of that has to do with the fact that this kit is now, that it's coming out in 2022, able to reuse quite a bit of tooling from the other 00 kits. This bazooka he's holding here on the right, that's from the Master Grade Jinx 3. These pistols and holsters, Master Grade Dynames. The handheld missile pods, Master Grade Curios. Even going beyond the obvious reuse of the Exia mold, there is a lot of tooling they were able to repurpose from the other 00 kits they've produced recently. One thing that did surprise me a little bit about this model was that they're actually advertising the shield and sword that were originally from the Gundam Exia, not the new ones made for the Astraea, but the original Exia models, as official accessories of the kit. Now, you do actually get all of these parts with the high-grade Astraea Type F, however the instruction manual tells you to discard them. I didn't, and basically everyone who built the kit didn't. However, I don't believe they're officially supposed to be part of the weapons loadout for the Astraea. So it's kind of interesting that Bandai decided for this release to include them in the official weapons spread. However, this talk of reused tooling does bring us to what I think is kind of the disappointing aspect of this kit, and that is that, well, Bandai has kind of a thing that they've been doing with their recent kits. Over the last couple years, whenever Bandai's reused tooling from a really old model, and let's be real here, the Master Grade Exia is pretty old, they always seem to try to give it some kind of little quality of life improvements. Whether it's a new lower abdomen that gives it a little more articulation, or a retooled head sculpt with some sharper details or maybe better proportions, or just some new hands that are better at holding the weapons, there's always some nice little improvements they give to all their older molds when they reuse them for a modern kit. As far as I can tell in these images though, the Astraea Type F features no new tooling of that sort. The only new molding we see here is what's necessary to make it visually resemble the Astraea Type F with no structural improvements being made. Another thing to consider is that we just got brand new master grades of the Dynames, the Curios, and the Virtue. All three of these introduced a lot of new tooling that could be used for other 00 models like, oh, I don't know, let's say a new Master Grade Exia, and all three of them are absolutely fantastic kits that have none of the issues that plagued the original Master Grade Exia. And just to get you caught up to speed in case you don't know, the Master Grade Exia, while not a terrible model, does have a few annoying little issues that people have known about pretty much from day one. They used a really weird joint configuration for the ankles that makes the kit kind of hard to stand in some poses, and the method they used to attach his swords to his hips is really not particularly effective either. When you compound that with the fact that this is using the older style Master Grade hands that I'm personally not a fan of, as they just don't like to hold on to things, there are clearly a lot of places they could have improved this mold. And with the Astraea Type F coming out now, after all those other 00 releases, it really does seem that Bandai is dead set on continuing to use the same old Master Grade Exia mold. No improvements, no 2.0, just the same old kit we've been getting for over a decade. And while I will admit that Exia is my least favorite of the four main Gundams, I still would like to have a nice new Master Grade Exia to go with my other nice new Master Grade 00 kits. I mean, the Dynames and Curios are some of my favorite Master Grades I've built over the last few years. They're really good kits, and they build a really solid foundation that an Exia could be built off of. Now, if there were some improvements being made here, better ankle joints, different hands, literally anything, I could see them maybe using this as a way to kind of pre-tool those parts for an Exia later on down the line, but I just don't see anything of the sort happening here. This really is just a bog standard Master Grade Exia with a new coat of armor. Now, to be totally fair to the model, it does still look freaking fantastic. The Astraea has never looked this good, and the level of detail in this model looks phenomenal. And as has been the case for basically every model of the Astraea Type F ever made, you get the parts to build both the standard Type F and the F2. The differences between them primarily boil down to a little bit of extra yellow V-fin on the head, different condensers on the knees and elbows, and apparently different front skirts, although I don't recall that being a difference between them on the high grade, so I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention to the instructions when I built the high grade. However, if you are planning on picking up this kit when it inevitably comes to the USP Bandai shop, and let's be real, it absolutely will, there is one little thing that still kind of bugs me about this kit, and that is, well, This is a 7,000 yen kit. That's like $70 US. And yes, I know the yen to dollar conversion isn't exact, but let's just say that when they price the kits in US dollars on the US store, they don't exactly do it in the dollar's favor. This is going to be like a $70, $72, maybe even $75 model when it comes over stateside. And mind you, that's if you're in a country like the US where you have direct access to the P Bandai web shop. If you're somewhere else in the world and you have to get this through a middleman, you're going to be paying even more. And I gotta say, that is something that has been really eating me up over the last few months when it comes to a lot of these new Premium Bandai releases. Over the last year or two, Bandai's Premium Bandai pricing has just gone through the roof. It becomes even more obvious when they reprint an older P Bandai kit like the Real Grade 007 sword, and you realize that they used to not actually charge that much more for P Bandai kits. Nowadays though, there's $40 high grades and $70 master grades all over the place. And because of that, I found it really hard to justify a lot of these new kits. I've bought almost nothing for the entire year of 2021 because a lot of times when I see a P Bandai kit that I kind of might have bought at retail for like 50 bucks, it's got like a $75 to $95 price tag. Hell, just a month ago I paid $60 for a freaking high-grade Asclepius. And while I could certainly justify that every once in a while for a kit that I really like that aforementioned Asclepius, that doesn't mean that I want to do that for every single kit that I'm interested in. Really, when it comes to expensive Premium Bandai kits, the Astraea is a really hard one to justify too. At least with something like the Asclepius, it's literally an entire new mold top to bottom, so there's obviously a ton of research and development and tooling and molding costs that go into it. 85% of the Astraea though has already been made. This is, like I've said several times in this video, a 10-year-old mold. Bandai has more than made their money back on Master Grade Exias. And if you're fine with paying $70 for a Master Grade Astraea, that's great, good for you. In fact, I got something to show you that you're probably going to want to pick up as well. That's right guys, not only are we getting the Astraea Type F, we're also getting the Avalanche Astraea Type F. Now this is not a standalone model, this is an upgrade set that you have to buy for the Astraea Type F, so you will need to buy both models. However, this Avalanche armor in the Astraea Type F colors will give you pretty much the full Astraea experience. Now while the main Master Grade Astraea Type F does feature a fairly significant amount of new tooling, there is absolutely nothing new whatsoever in the Avalanche parts as far as I can tell. This is literally just the pieces from the Avalanche Exia, recolored red. This set is going to be going up for pre-order and coming out at the same time as the other Master Grade Astraea, and it's going to be 3,000 yen. So that's another $30 to add on to the existing $70 price tag of the base Astraea. The Master Grade Astraea Type F and Avalanche upgrade are probably going to be perfectly fine kits. The Master Grade Exia mold is far from the worst thing Bandai's ever made, and I'm sure a lot of people are excited to pre-order this. I just wish Bandai would keep their prices a little more reasonable and give the Master Grade Exia the upgrade it deserves. That's going to be all for tonight though. I'm your host Second Soundwave, thanks for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and as always, I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.